I felt really sad the humans can be that way. And then my heart went into I don't deserve love. And then my mind is, well, if you can't hurt them, hurt yourself. If you can't kill them, kill yourself.
In recent days, shocking claims have been circulating across social media and video platforms about Cesar Millan, the world-famous dog whisperer, being sentenced to life imprisonment. Thousands of concerned fans have been sharing these stories, wondering what could have happened to the beloved dog trainer who entered their living rooms for years through his hit television shows. But is there any truth to these alarming reports? Or is this just another case of misinformation spreading like wildfire across the digital landscape? How do such stories start, and why do they gain such momentum? Today, we're conducting a comprehensive investigation into the real story of Cesar Millan, his extraordinary journey from immigrant to international celebrity, his profound personal struggles that have been documented over the years, and most importantly, the truth behind these disturbing headlines claiming he's behind bars for life. Stay with us as we separate fact from fiction, examine the evidence, speak with sources close to Cesar, and uncover what's really happening with one of the world's most recognized animal behaviorists in this special, in-depth investigation. The viral claims. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Over the past few weeks, our comment section has been flooded with questions about Cesar Millan after numerous videos and social media posts claimed he's been sentenced to life in prison. These stories have spread rapidly, leaving fans confused, concerned, and desperate for accurate information. Cesar Millan sentenced to life imprisonment for animal cruelty charges. Dog whisperer behind bars. The shocking truth about Cesar Millan. Celebrity dog trainer facing life sentence after horrific incident. These headlines and stories appear to be everywhere, generating millions of views and countless shares. In some versions of the story, Cesar is alleged to have abused animals during training sessions. In others, the claims involve an incident with a German shepherd that supposedly resulted in serious injuries. The stories often include specific details about a trial, courtroom testimony, and even prison conditions. The comment sections of these videos reveal the profound impact these claims have had on Cesar's fanbase. I can't believe this happened to Cesar. I've been following him for years. Has anyone confirmed if this is actually true? I'm devastated. This doesn't sound like the Cesar I know from his shows. Something seems off. Before we dive into Cesar's actual life story and the truth behind these claims, it's important to understand why such stories might resonate with audiences. Cesar Millan has been a polarizing figure in the dog training world for years. His methods, particularly his emphasis on dominance theory, have drawn both passionate supporters and vocal critics within the animal behavior community. This pre-existing controversy creates fertile ground for sensational claims. When people already have mixed feelings about a public figure, they may be more inclined to believe negative information about that person without thoroughly fact-checking it first. But to truly understand Cesar's story, and to effectively separate fact from fiction, we need to go back to the beginning and trace his remarkable journey from humble origins to international stardom, through very real personal struggles, and to where he stands today. The Mexican roots. Cesar Millan's story begins far from Hollywood, in the rural community of Culiacan, Sinaloa, Mexico. Born on August 27, 1969, Cesar grew up in extreme poverty on his grandfather's farm, surrounded by working animals. This environment would profoundly shape his understanding of and connection with animals, particularly dogs. I grew up on a farm in Sinaloa, Mexico, where my grandfather was a tenant farmer. Cesar has explained in numerous interviews. We had no running water, no electricity. We lived the most simple life possible. But I never felt poor because we always had food on the table and we were surrounded by nature. From an early age, Cesar displayed an unusual affinity for dogs. Local people began calling him El Perrero, the dog boy, because of his natural ability to connect with even the most troubled canines. This gift wasn't something he learned from books or formal education. It came from observation and intuition. As a child, I observed dogs in their natural state. Working, herding, protecting. They weren't pets as Americans understand them, Cesar explained. I learned to read their energy, their body language. Dogs communicate constantly, but most people don't know how to listen. By his early teens, Cesar had already decided he wanted to work with animals professionally, but opportunities in rural Mexico were severely limited. He dreamed of coming to America, specifically to Hollywood, where he had seen the famous German Shepherd Rin Tin Tin on television, and decided he wanted to work with animals in film. At 21 years old, with no money, no contacts, and no knowledge of English, Cesar made the life-changing decision to cross the border into the United States illegally. A decision driven by desperation and dreams that would later become a controversial part of his public persona. On December 23, 1990, I crossed the border with $100 in my pocket, Cesar has recounted. I remember praying to God and saying, "This is my birthday and Christmas gift to myself. Let me make it." The journey was dangerous and frightening. Cesar has described paying a coyote, human smuggler, his entire life savings, crossing through drainage pipes, and the constant fear of being caught. Eventually, he made it to California, where his new life and the long road to becoming the dog whisperer would begin. The rise to fame. In 2004, after years of building his reputation in Los Angeles, Cesar's dream of reaching a wider audience with his dog training philosophy became reality when National Geographic Channel launched Dog Whisperer with Cesar Millan. The show's format was compelling and straightforward. Each episode featured Cesar working with dogs exhibiting problematic behaviors, from aggression to anxiety, and their often distressed owners. Viewers watched as Cesar seemingly performed miracles, transforming unruly, dangerous, or anxious dogs into balanced pets, often within minutes. Dog Whisperer quickly became National Geographic's highest-rated show, reaching more than 80 countries worldwide. At the height of its popularity, the series attracted over 11 million American viewers per week, an extraordinary achievement for a cable program. Central to Cesar's approach was his philosophy of calm, assertive energy and the mantra of exercise, discipline, affection, in that specific order. He emphasized that many behavioral problems stemmed not from the dogs themselves, but from owners who treated their pets like humans, rather than animals with specific psychological needs. "I rehabilitate dogs. I train people," became his catchphrase, encapsulating his belief that most canine problems originated with human misunderstandings of dog psychology. The show's success catapulted Cesar from local dog trainer to international celebrity. He authored multiple best-selling books, including Cesar's Way and Be the Pack Leader, launched a glossy magazine, developed a line of dog products, established the Dog Psychology Center in Santa Clarita, California, and became a sought-after speaker around the world. By 2010, Cesar had built a multimedia empire worth millions. His rags-to-riches story epitomized the American dream. An illegal immigrant who had arrived with nothing had transformed himself into a wealthy celebrity whose face was recognized around the globe. Behind the scenes, Cesar's personal life seemed equally blessed. He had married his wife Illusion in 1994, with whom he had 2 sons, Andre and Calvin. They lived in a sprawling ranch in the Santa Clarita Valley with dozens of dogs. To the public, Cesar appeared to have everything: fame, fortune, family, and fulfillment in his work. However, as he would later reveal, the pressures of fame and the rapid expansion of his business empire were creating significant strains that would eventually contribute to a perfect storm of personal crises. Success changes everything around you, but it doesn't change you unless you allow it, Cesar reflected later. "I wasn't prepared for what happened when the show became so big. Suddenly, I wasn't just training dogs. I was running a huge company with many employees, dealing with publishers, television executives, product manufacturers. It was overwhelming." This period of extraordinary success would soon be followed by a series of devastating personal and professional challenges that would test Cesar's resilience in ways he could never have anticipated. The perfect storm of personal crisis. At the height of his fame, when Cesar seemed to have achieved the perfect life, everything began unraveling behind the scenes. The carefully constructed public image of the calm, balanced dog trainer with all the answers was about to be severely tested by a series of personal crises that would eventually drive him to the brink of suicide. In June 2010, Cesar's wife of 16 years, Cesar Millan, filed for divorce. Though the couple had briefly separated in 2006, they had reconciled, and the final breakdown of their marriage hit Cesar particularly hard. Illusion had been not just his spouse and the mother of his children, but also his business manager and a crucial stabilizing force in his life and career. My wife was the one who Cesar Millan the brand, he created in later interviews. She helped shape everything, the business, the media presence, the products. When she left, I lost my wife, my best friend, my partner, and the mother of my children all at once. The divorce proceedings revealed that despite the outward appearance of enormous success, Cesar's financial situation was complicated. Court documents showed that he earned $170,000 per month, but also carried significant debt related to his business enterprises. The settlement was reportedly substantial, adding financial pressure at a time of emotional vulnerability. But the divorce was just the beginning of Cesar's troubles. Around the same time, he discovered that his business empire was not as secure as he had believed. Despite his face and name being on everything from television shows to dog food, Cesar learned that his contract arrangements had left him vulnerable. "This is when I learned about Hollywood and the legal way to be dishonest," Cesar revealed in a rare, candid interview. "It was about ownership. I was supposed to be 50-50, but when it was time to honor that, they said it wasn't on paper. I'm a man of my word, and I was playing the game, but legally they were not playing it, and spiritually, it was obviously not." The betrayal was especially painful because of the decade-long relationships involved. When it's a relationship of 10 years and you know their children, everything becomes personal. I assumed honesty, integrity, and loyalty was a given. Cesar had built his career on understanding instinctual animal behavior, where intentions are clear and straightforward. The complexity and deception he encountered in human business relationships shook him to his core. They didn't just want to have this, they also wanted to have that. "But that doesn't belong to you," he explained, still in disbelief years later. For a man who had always prided himself on operating with integrity and honoring verbal agreements, these business disputes were profoundly disorienting. In the world of dogs, communication is clear and straightforward. There are no hidden agendas, he noted. The discovery that human relationships could operate with such duplicity shook my faith in people and in my own judgment. As these personal and professional crises mounted, Cesar faced yet another devastating blow. In February 2010, just months before his wife filed for divorce, his beloved pit bull Daddy died at age 16. This dog had been more than a pet to Cesar. He was a constant companion, a model for his training methodology, and a co-star on his television show. Fans around the world mourned alongside Cesar, but few understood just how deeply this loss affected him. "Daddy was my teacher, my companion, my demonstration dog. He helped me prove my methods worked," Cesar explained. "He helped rehabilitate hundreds of dogs. When he died, I lost a piece of myself." The combined weight of these losses, his marriage, his business control, and his cherished dog, created what Cesar would later describe as the perfect storm that pushed him to the edge of despair. As Cesar's world continued to collapse around him, his mental health deteriorated rapidly, leading to the darkest chapter of his life, one that had nothing to do with prison, but everything to do with an internal imprisonment of despair. The darkest moment. In May 2010, overwhelmed by his mounting personal and professional losses, Cesar Millan attempted suicide by overdosing on prescription medication. This shocking fact, which Cesar himself has spoken about publicly, marks the lowest point in his life story and reveals the profound depth of his suffering during this period. The spiral continued as his emotions overwhelmed him. "My spirit got really sad, and then my instinct went into a rage. Then my heart went into feeling I don't deserve love. And then my mind said, well, if you can't hurt them, hurt yourself. If you can't kill them, kill yourself."
I felt really sad. The humans can be that way. And then my heart went into, I don't deserve love. And then my mind is, well, if you can't hurt them, hurt yourself. If you can't kill them, kill yourself.
This cultural imprint from his upbringing in Sinaloa, where vengeance was sometimes seen as the only response to betrayal, nearly cost him everything. It was my cultural belief, he explained solemnly. That belief that vengeance was the only answer to betrayal was something he carried from his culture, and it nearly ended his life. The suicide attempt was not publicly known at the time. Cesar was found by his oldest son, Andre, who called 911. "My son found me," Cesar recalled through tears in later interviews. That's a lot for a kid to deal with, finding your father like that. Cesar was hospitalized and eventually stabilized physically, but his emotional and psychological state remained fragile. The man who had built an empire on projecting calm, confident energy had reached a point where he could no longer maintain that facade. In the aftermath of his suicide attempt, Cesar's physical health deteriorated alongside his mental state. His weight dropped dramatically to just 102 pounds, dangerously underweight for his 5 feet 5 inches frame. He began abusing substances, taking up to 12 Vicodin pills daily and mixing Red Bull with vodka to cope with his emotional pain and sleep deprivation. But humans, Cesar discovered, could smile while harboring malicious intent. "Animals don't lie," he stated simply. "A dog will never pretend to like you. They either like you or they don't. But humans can shake your hand while plotting against you." That realization destroyed something in me. Even as he struggled personally, Cesar continued filming his television show and maintaining public appearances. Few fans realized that the confident expert they watched on television was battling severe depression, addiction, and suicidal thoughts behind the scenes. "The cameras would stop rolling and I would go back to this empty place," he admitted. "I was living two completely separate lives, the public figure who had all the answers and the private man who was completely lost." This period represents the true nadir of Caesar's life. Not a fictional imprisonment, but a very real dark night of the soul that tested his will to live and forced him to confront profound questions about his identity, purpose, and future. The impact on family. The consequences of Cesar's breakdown extended far beyond himself. Perhaps most painful was the impact on his relationships with his two sons, Andre and Calvin, who were teenagers at the time of his crisis. Following his suicide attempt and throughout his struggle with addiction, Cesar's relationship with his children deteriorated significantly. This strain was compounded by the divorce, which had already disrupted their family structure. For a period of nearly 3 years, communication between Cesar and his children was minimal and often tense. "My youngest son stopped speaking to me for 3 years," Cesar revealed in interviews. That was the most painful part, knowing that my own children saw me as a failure, as someone who had lost control of himself. His sons later described witnessing their father's transformation from the confident, balanced person they had known into someone increasingly erratic and unstable. His youngest son compared the experience to watching his father become like a different person, almost like a monster sometimes. The boys began to fear the unpredictable changes in their father's energy, ironically something Cesar himself had taught others to manage in their dogs. The constant uncertainty about which version of their father would appear created a state of hypervigilance as they watched for subtle shifts that signaled his emotional state was deteriorating. "Children are like dogs in that way," Cesar reflected years later. "They read energy perfectly. They knew something was wrong with me even when I tried to hide it." This family fracture added another layer of pain to Cesar's already overwhelming emotional burden. Not only had he lost his marriage, business control, and beloved dog, but he was now estranged from his children, the very people who gave his life its deepest meaning. During this period, Cesar missed important milestones in his sons' lives: high school performances, sporting events, and daily moments of connection that can never be reclaimed. The pain of this separation only deepened his emotional crisis and sense of failure. "I had helped thousands of families create harmony with their dogs, but I couldn't create harmony in my own family," he observed with painful irony. I was teaching balance but living in complete imbalance. This family estrangement would become a powerful motivator in Cesar's eventual recovery. The desire to rebuild relationships with his sons and prove himself worthy of their respect and love became a cornerstone of his healing journey. Checking the facts. Now that we understand the genuine struggles Cesar faced, divorce, business conflicts, mental health crisis, suicide attempt, and family estrangement, it's time to directly address the viral claims about his alleged imprisonment. Claim: Cesar Millan has been sentenced to life imprisonment. This claim is demonstrably false. As of 2025, Cesar Millan has not been convicted of any crime that would result in life imprisonment, nor is he currently incarcerated. Here's the comprehensive evidence. No legitimate news organizations, including major networks, newspapers, entertainment publications, or reputable digital media, have reported any criminal charges against Cesar Millan resulting in imprisonment. Such a high-profile case involving a celebrity of Cesar's stature would certainly generate substantial coverage from established media outlets. Cesar Millan continues to make regular public appearances at events, seminars, and television studios. He maintains an active touring schedule that includes live shows in multiple countries. These activities would be impossible for someone serving a life sentence. Cesar remains professionally active, producing new content, operating his dog psychology center, and managing his various business ventures. His current television projects, including appearances on major networks, are ongoing. Cesar maintains active, verified social media accounts with regular posts showing him working with dogs, appearing at events, and interacting with fans. These posts include geolocation data and timestamps that confirm his freedom of movement. A thorough search of federal and state court records reveals no criminal cases against Cesar Millan that would result in life imprisonment. Criminal proceedings, especially high-profile cases, generate substantial public documentation. Cesar's training facilities, product lines, and educational programs continue to operate with his direct involvement. His dog psychology center in California regularly hosts clients and training programs under his supervision. Cesar has given numerous interviews to legitimate media outlets within the past year, appearing in person on television and at press events. These appearances are easily verified and documented. When contacted for this investigation, Cesar's management team categorically denied all claims related to criminal charges or imprisonment, stating, "These allegations are completely false." Cesar continues his work with dogs and their owners around the world and is not facing any criminal charges whatsoever. To further verify these findings, we spoke with legal experts who confirmed that no court records exist showing criminal proceedings against Cesar Millan that would have resulted in a life sentence. Criminal cases of this magnitude involving public figures leave an extensive paper trail, explained criminal defense attorney Maria Rodriguez. Court filings, indictments, trial transcripts, sentencing documents. These would all be matters of public record. The complete absence of such documentation strongly confirms that these claims are fabricated. So where did these false imprisonment stories originate? And why do they continue to spread despite being easily debunked? The real healing journey. While the imprisonment claims are false, Cesar's journey of recovery from his actual crisis is both real and remarkable. This authentic story of healing and redemption deserves attention. By 2012, the emotional and physical toll of Cesar's struggles had become unbearable. His weight had dropped to 102 pounds. His addiction to prescription medications was worsening, and those close to him recognized that without intervention, the consequences could be fatal. In September 2012, with the encouragement of friends and family, Cesar finally entered rehabilitation at Cedar Lodge, a luxury treatment center in Utah. Though costly at approximately $150,000 per month, this intensive program provided the structured environment and professional support he desperately needed. "I resisted the idea of rehab at first," Cesar admitted later. "I thought I could fix myself the way I fixed dogs, through discipline and exercise. But humans are more complicated. We carry memories, resentments, cultural beliefs that dogs don't have. I needed specialized help." The rehabilitation program addressed not only Cesar's substance use, but also the underlying trauma, depression, and suicidal ideation that had driven him to that point. For the first time, he was able to process the cascading losses he had experienced and begin rebuilding his sense of self apart from his public persona. True healing required more than just sobriety. It demanded a complete recalibration of his outlook on business, relationships, and self-worth. The man who had spent his career teaching others to maintain balanced energy now had to apply those principles to his own life in the most challenging circumstances. When you face true challenges, Cesar reflected, they either destroy you or refine you. They sharpen your awareness of what truly matters. Most crucially, Cesar refused to become bitter, a choice that many in his position would find impossible. Taking your money is one thing, but taking your energy is another thing, and that you give to them. Thank God I didn't give that energy away. One of the most transformative insights Cesar gained during recovery was the recognition that he needed to apply his own dog training principles to his personal healing. Just as he had always emphasized that dog owners must achieve a calm, balanced state before attempting to correct their pet's behavior, he now focused on restoring his own internal balance before attempt. To correct their pet's behavior, he now focused on restoring his own internal balance before trying to rebuild his external world. I realized I had been teaching something I wasn't fully living, he acknowledged. With dogs, I always say you have to address the human's energy first before you can help the dog. I needed to heal my own energy before I could rebuild my life and relationships. The healing extended to his family relationships as well. The process of reconciliation began on November 12, 2015, when his youngest son, who had just completed his own therapy for issues related to the family trauma, reached out to Cesar. This marked their first meaningful contact in nearly 3 years. Rebuilding these bonds wasn't easy. It required extensive family therapy and counseling over 18 months, during which both Cesar and his sons had to confront painful truths about how his struggles had affected them all. A significant breakthrough came in 2017, when they spent a week together at a wellness retreat in Arizona, participating in meditation and emotional healing exercises. That week in Arizona changed everything, Cesar's son later shared. For the first time, I saw my father as a human being who had made mistakes, not just as Cesar Millan, the dog whisperer who was supposed to have all the answers. Throughout this process, Cesar had to confront how his struggles had affected those he loved most. Just as he had taught dog owners to take responsibility for their pet's behavior, he now had to take full responsibility for the impact of his actions on his family. The hardest thing was admitting to my sons that I had failed them, Cesar revealed. Not just apologizing, but truly acknowledging the pain I caused when I wasn't emotionally available to them. That level of accountability is excruciating, but necessary for healing. By 2018, Cesar had achieved significant healing in both his personal health and family relationships. He had maintained sobriety, restored his physical health, rebuilt connections with his sons, and established new boundaries in his business dealings to protect himself from the types of situations that had contributed to his crisis. The public response. When news of Cesar's struggles eventually became public through his own candid interviews, particularly in the 2013 Nat Geo Wild documentary, Cesar Millan, The Real Story, the outpouring of support was overwhelming. Fans who had benefited from his dog training techniques for years rallied around him with messages of encouragement and solidarity. Social media platforms filled with supportive comments from people who appreciated his honesty about mental health struggles and addiction. One fan wrote, "I feel anger at the thought of anyone ripping Cesar off, stressing him out, and leaving him feeling hopeless. Bounce back, Cesar, stronger than ever, and know you are admired and beloved by so many. Fresh start. Phoenix from the ashes?" Another commented, "Cesar Millan will always be the dog whisperer in my eyes. I would never say anything negative about this guy. As a dog groomer myself, everything he says resonates with what I've learned on my own about people and their pets. He has integrity." Particularly moving were the personal stories from fans who had encountered Cesar in real life, away from cameras and publicity. We saw Cesar shopping in a store. I stood in the back and watched him. He was so kind and very respectful to everyone, regardless of what they looked like. He secretly paid for someone who couldn't afford their bill. He did it very quietly and did not want the person to know. We saw it and didn't say a word. He is a true gentleman, full of class. Others shared how Cesar's work had transformed not just their relationships with their dogs, but their entire outlook on life. I grew up running from neighborhood dogs. Therefore, I hated dogs and thought they were brainless animals. I happened to watch his episodes and was amazed. I got a puppy Rottweiler and a puppy. As we've discovered today, the claims about Cesar Millan serving a life sentence are completely false. While Cesar did face genuine personal struggles, including divorce, business challenges, and a serious mental health crisis, he has never been imprisoned for any crime. His actual story of resilience and recovery is far more powerful than any fabricated scandal. From humble beginnings in Mexico to worldwide fame, through devastating personal loss and ultimately to healing, Cesar's journey reminds us that even our greatest teachers face human struggles. In today's digital landscape, where shocking headlines spread faster than their corrections, it's more important than ever to verify information before accepting or sharing it. The next time you see an alarming claim about anyone, celebrity or not, take a moment to check reliable sources before believing or sharing it. If you found this investigation valuable, please hit the like button and subscribe for more content that separates fact from fiction. Share this video to help combat the spread of misinformation, and let me know in the comments what other viral stories you'd like to see investigated. Remember, the truth matters, and sometimes reality is more compelling than fiction.